would like to thank you for watching this week's Inward Outward devotional. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, I invite you to do so. This week, I want to talk to you about stalled in the storm. And today's scripture is found in Matthew chapter 14, verse 22. And it reads, "Immediately Jesus made his disciples get into the boat and go before him to the other side, while he sent the multitudes away." The multitude was getting restless as they discussed the miracle that had just occurred before their very eyes. Jesus had fed more than 5,000 people with just 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. Immediately after, Jesus made his disciples get in a boat and flee the scene. The word "made" gives the impression that his followers were obliged to do so. He forced them. What was the urgency? Jesus must have had something important for them to do, right? However, Jesus doesn't go with them. He only sends them ahead to the other side. The next thing we read about the disciples is in verse 24, and it says, "But the boat was now in the middle of the sea, tossed by the waves, for the wind was contrary." This cannot be accurate. One has to assume there's a mistake somewhere here. Jesus forced them into a boat that was destined to face a storm. This is not the reward we're looking forward to when we're obedient. This is not what we envision when we sacrifice our desires for His. This isn't the way it works, is it? Usually obedience produces prizes, a gold star, and rewards, not storms and suffering. Most would believe that surrendering our will to His will keep us from the storm. Nevertheless, the disciples are now in the middle of the storm, stuck because they were obedient. And some commentators suggest that they had rowed for 9 hours and moved only about 3 miles. That's not what you would call smooth sailing. Matthew's account tells us that they were in the middle of the sea and tossed by waves. Mark's gospel tells us they were straining and toiling all night. You perhaps may also feel this way, overworked, underappreciated, with very little to show for all of your efforts. But I want you to take comfort in Paul's words when he says, "We are hard pressed on every side, yet not crushed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Struck down, but not destroyed. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, is working for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory." We must never forget that God is in control of every situation. His will is perfect. We cannot mistake every hardship, trial, storm, or difficulty with punishment or a sign of being outside the parameters of His will. The disciples were obedient in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. You may be parked in a storm, however, this does not indicate that you've arrived at your destination. Joseph dreamed of God's will for his life, yet he was first thrown into a pit. He was sold as a slave. He was falsely accused and imprisoned, and however, God was in control. David was anointed the next king of Israel, yet his forecast was gloomy at best. He suffered jealousy from his authorities, a betrayal from his own family, and even lived among the outcasts as he was fleeing for his life. Nevertheless, God was in control. David even writes, "It is God who arms me with strength and makes my way perfect." Christ was also falsely accused, whipped, beaten, mocked, spit on, made to carry his own cross, crucified, but God was in control. The disciples had been placed in a boat that Christ said was going to reach the other side. And we too must cling to His promises that we will also reach the other side. We can face every trial and storm and battle with joy in our hearts because God is in control. James writes and he says, "My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. But let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing." Expect contrary winds, dark clouds, and turbulent waters. They're part of the journey. Don't allow them to distract you from your destination. They will try to cause you to even question if you're in God's will. Yet it's better to be in the danger of the storm and in His will than safe on the sandy beaches outside of His will. Daniel's friends understood this principle when they told the king Nebuchadnezzar, "If that is the case, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and He will deliver us from your hand, O king. But if not, let it be known to you, O king, that we do not serve your gods, nor will we worship the golden image which you have set up." Yes, they were thrown into the fiery furnace. Yes, they were thrown into the fire, but they were in His will. And as you navigate through this unpredictable season, filled with unexpected storms, remember that God is always in control. It might not make sense now, however, you will get to the other side because God is with you. So if you're stalled in your storm, put your trust in Jesus. He will see you through. He promised never to leave you nor forsake you. And I hope today's devotional has been a blessing in your life. God bless.